The first slide is how can we use the notion of digitalization in the context of the evaluation. And this was addressed by several participants already today. And what I'm going to show you is how we in the team made up our mind to make this very difficult concept tractable in the context of an evaluation. And in order to put it into that context, we look at evaluation questions, and then we look at factors of success. An evaluation question is put here. And when it comes to the factors of success, we need not start from the scratch, but we have some guidance. And we used this guidance in order to put it into the context of digitalization. And here, the term that was introduced by Kostas becomes very important. The notion of digital intensity. And I will show in the next slides how this term can be made operational. Let's look at the next slide. First of all, we have to think about what are we trying to look upon. And when you remember, Kostas already introduced it when he showed the generic intervention logic. On the right side, there were two terms that fit very well into the CAP, into the CAP strategic plans, and into the contracts of the European Union as well. We want to have productive enterprises, productive farms, and we want to have growth in all regions, and in particular in those regions that seem to be left behind. And what are the key considerations when we look at that? We look at productivity, but in a wider sense. We look at sustainable productivity. And therefore, we are in the context of inputs and making use of the resources that are available for the production. And we need to take care of the human and institutional factors. And as already discussed in the chat, we also have to consider unintended consequences. What kind of methods can we use when we think about these topics? I'm not going into the details of the methods, how to evaluate that. That will come later. But here are some general approaches. And these approaches are very operational. So we think of measuring productivity and do it in a quantitative manner and look to sustainable productivity. A way to do that is to engage in life cycle analysis, and we can use various data sets and also methods that have already been established, like as the rough estimates approach provided by the help desk. When we look at the data, where are the sources of information, we can look at the FSDN that could or should be linked to the DIB. And if you're interested, I can go into detail regarding that aspect very much, because I'm working on that, but that's only one aspect. And certainly we also need to use all the other sets of data of administrative sources. And one of the way to understand digitalization is when you are an evaluator to make use of the tools of digitalization, and big data is one element. So it's not only farmers who work with big data, it's also evaluators and managing authorities. So let's look at the evaluation question and read it. To what extent has the support provided through digitalization-related CAP, strategic plan interventions, contributed to sustainable and inclusive growth in a rural area? Let me look at this from a wide angle. I'm an economist and I'm not so well experienced with digitalization like Jacques is. I view it from the angle of an economist. And what is digitalization from my perception? It is a factor of production. Kostas introduced it already. We'll talk about intensity, and intensity makes sense in the context of production. And think about the technological revolutions we had. 100 years ago, a horse was pulling the plow, and the farmer went behind the horse, and he needed very special skills to operate the plow. 50 years ago, the tractor came. That was a huge investment, and the farmer again had to adopt new skills in order to be able to operate the tractor. What is it, a tractor? A tractor is an investment, and in order to run it, you have annual expenses. You have to pay for the diesel, for the repair, and for the maintenance. But the farmer needs specific skills. Where are we now? We are in the same situation. We have many digital tools and gadgets around. Many of them need investments, and many of them need operating cost. So you have to pay for a license, you have to pay for a subscription, you have to pay for the maintenance of websites. These are all digital inputs in the production process, and the farmer, the manager, needs to have skills in order to integrate that into the system. And like the tractor that needs a road to come to the field, we need digital infrastructure to get where we want with our production. And that's the context of the evaluation. And for me, as an economist, it is just one other way to deal with a new topic, an interesting topic. I look at the costs, I look at the investments, and then I look at the effects. What are the effects? The effects are that people are more productive. When they are more productive, then we have growth. And then we can look at how this growth is distributed. For instance, how many women are better off? How many poor people in remote regions are better off because they have access? How is the employment rate increased by access to these technologies? So we have some indicators that we can use in order to measure how the digital intensities that are different across different farms and that are different across different regions have an impact. And depending on what kind of impact we look, we should be able to see some effect if we are lucky to have enough data. And the impact indicators, they are very general. Of course, we thought that I-24 or I-25, the employment rate, the evolution of the gross domestic product could be could be indicators that might be impacted in the manner we intend by digitalization. And the question you have, of course, you say, okay, how do I measure digitalization? DAISY is not covering agriculture. How do we get the information how digitalization might impact these indicators? We are now in the relationship assessment and in the context of relative efficiency analysis. Well, one element is that we need to consider what are the factors driving growth in rural regions, and digitalization is just one among them. There are many other things that drive regional development. It is the payments that go to farmers, but it is also interventions from structural funds. And of course, it is access to digital infrastructure. And some of this information is readily available for evaluators. Some of it is not available. And depending on the way the impact of digitalization is measured, it is certainly necessary to collect new data. One aspect the CAP strategic plans are addressing is the rural society. It is rural regions. And when we look at rural regions, we always have to look at the complement. And the complement are the urban regions. Because one objective of the Common Agricultural Policy, one important one, is to empower people living in rural region so that their welfare, their incomes are leveling the incomes of those living in other regions. And therefore, it is one way to look at digitalization is to look at how digitalization helps to level the income levels between urban or integrated regions and rural regions. And how can we look at that? We can look at it by focusing on the infrastructure. We can look at it by focusing on the competence. And there we know that CAP strategic plans have instruments in order to make people more competent. We know how many people are attending courses. We know how many courses are provided that address digital skills. And when we look at the outcome level, we can look how intensive digital tools and digital infrastructure are used, but we also can go beyond one step and look how productivity is affected by the use and by the intensity of digital tools. What kind of methods and what kind of surveys can we use? When we talk about productivity, let me recall first what is productivity. Productivity is when you have the same inputs that you had before, you can produce more output. If you use your inputs better than before and produce more output, then your productivity is increasing. So if you have digital tools, digital infrastructure, digital services available, you may become more productive. And Jacques explained how this productivity can be made tangible. we produce more crops without pesticides. Storages are more efficient, less fruits are gotten rotten. These are all things that happen when digital methods and tools are used in a good manner. So making farmers more productive is, of course, one objective of the CAP, and digitalization is one way to support farmers to get more productive. How can we measure that? Well, we can measure it, for instance, with DIA analysis, digital and envelope analysis. How do we come to the information? Well, it will be necessary to collect information, to go to farmers and to ask them, or to look at the FSDN bookkeeping data and to look there whether farmers separate the cost that are spent for digital services in one specific variable. If this variable is available, you can use standard productivity analysis to measure the effect of digital intensity. And this was already done several times. And in the document prepared by us, there are many sources where you can see how it was done in several countries. And of course, we can use several indices that are around, and also some more advanced methods like the Gaussian graphical model. This is a method I did not use by myself, but it seems to be very handy when it comes to measure digitalization. I covered already the data sources, and I do not go into repeating it. My observation is that we need complementary information, and if we want really to measure the digitalization intensity, when we look at farms, it will be necessary to collect additional information. How this can be done is shown in the guidelines. I'm already at the end, and here are the key takeaways listed. First of all, there are already many resources that can be used to evaluate digitalization in the context of sustainable productivity. But of course, those data sets are not well prepared for that task. So you need special care to amend, to complement the data that are already there. Evaluations of the contribution of digitalization to rural development, they must look at the improvement of access to services and look at the rural and intra-rural divides. And when it is, when we look at focus on these divides, then we can identify the factors that are narrowing the gaps or making the gaps bigger. And if we have data collected from the sources that were listed, they may be helping us to understand whether digitalization helps to narrow the gap or not. Several data sources exist, but it will be necessary to collect additional information. It need not to be done in an ad hoc manner, so nobody needs to start from scratch. There are many studies where you can go and look how other people did it and how you may use the information obtained there to put it into your context, into your evaluation concept. Thank you for your attention.